Imagine walking down cobblestone streets older than the United States itself. St. Augustine, Florida, founded in 1565, predates Jamestown by 42 years and Plymouth Rock by 55. Today we'll explore how this city, a melting pot of indigenous, Spanish, British, African and American cultures, became a living museum of resilience, conflict and reinvention. Lived in villages like Saloy, which is modern-day St. Augustine. They practiced agriculture, growing corn, beans and squash. They hunted deer and fished. They built ceremonial mounds, such as the Shell Bluff landing site, and created intricate pottery. They worshipped celestial bodies and practiced ritualistic dances. Their elaborate burial customs, with grave goods, suggest a belief in the afterlife. They first encountered Spanish explorer Juan Ponce de Leon in 1513 during his quest for the Fountain of Youth. Diseases like smallpox and measles introduced by Europeans decimated 90% of the Timucua by the late 1600s. Sent by King Philip II to expel French Huguenots at Fort Caroline near Jacksonville, they established St. Augustine as a strategic base to protect Spanish treasure fleets from pirates. They executed French rivals in a massacre at Matanzas Inlet, which means slaughters in Spanish. The city was burned by Sir Francis Drake in 1586 and later by pirate Robert Searles in 1668. They relied on missions such as Nombre de Dios to convert indigenous peoples, creating a buffer zone against British colonies. Built from coquina stone, a porous limestone that absorbed cannon fire, the Castillo de San Marcos survived British sieges in 1702 during Queen Anne's War and in 1740 during James Oglethorpe's attack. During the 1702 siege, 1,500 Spanish and Timucua residents sheltered in the Castillo for 50 days. The British burned the city but couldn't crack the fort's walls. Spain traded Florida to Britain for Havana, Cuba. The territory was divided into East Florida, with its capital in St. Augustine, and West Florida. The British incentivized plantation agriculture, focusing on indigo, timber and citrus. They imported enslaved Africans and indentured servants from Greece, Italy and Minorca. St. Augustine became a loyalist haven during the American Revolution. The King's Bakery, which is still standing, fed refugees. Fort St. Mark or the Castillo held patriot prisoners, including signers of the Declaration of Independence. The Minorcan community, brought as indentured laborers, endured starvation on a failed indigo plantation. After escaping, they settled in St. Augustine, leaving a legacy in street names like Hippolyta and Avila. US settlers encroached, leading to clashes like the Patriots' Rebellion of 1812, where American militias briefly occupied St. Augustine. Escalating conflicts with Seminole tribes, a mix of Creek refugees and escaped slaves, intensified. Andrew Jackson's 1818 invasion of Florida pressured Spain to cede the territory. Spain handed Florida to the US for $5 million in debts. St. Augustine became a US frontier town. A Spanish soldier lamented, "Florida has become a burden, a nest of pirates and savages." Vision transformed St. Augustine into the Newport of the South to rival northern resorts. Ponce de Leon Hotel, opened in 1888 and now Flagler College, features Tiffany stained glass and Spanish Renaissance architecture. The railroad expansion linked St. Augustine to Miami, catalyzing Florida's tourism economy. This era attracted wealthy industrialists but also deepened racial segregation. The Alcazar Hotel, now City Hall, and Memorial Presbyterian Church, which is also Flagler's mausoleum, still stand today. Flagler's workers used sand from the future Fountain of Youth Park to make concrete, accidentally destroying part of the archaeological record. Activists waded in at whites-only beaches and prayed in at segregated churches. The jails overflowed, and Dr. King wrote his letter from St. Augustine Jail after being arrested at the Monson Motor Lodge. The violent backlash included KKK rallies, beatings, and the infamous acid attack in the Monson Pool, which was reenacted in 2014 for a documentary. The Civil Rights Act passed just weeks later. Lincolnville, home to activists like Dr. Robert Hayling, is now a historic district. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. called St. Augustine the most lawless city in America. Archaeology continues with ongoing digs at the Fountain of Youth Park, uncovering Timucua and Spanish artifacts. Rising seas now threaten the Castillo and colonial-era streets. Despite these challenges, over 6 million visitors yearly flock to ghost tours, pirate museums, and the St. Augustine Lighthouse. Spanish colonial revival buildings from the 1920s coexist with British colonial homes, showcasing the city's rich architectural heritage. Nights of Lights, a holiday tradition dating back to Spanish times, and Founding Day on September 8th, with reenactments of Menendez's Landing, are celebrated annually. St. Augustine isn't just America's oldest city, it's a mirror reflecting our nation's struggles and triumphs. Colonization, slavery, war, civil rights, and resilience. Next time you walk down St. George Street, remember beneath your feet lie centuries of stories. Timucua shell mounds, Spanish gold, British tea, and the footsteps of Dr. King. St. Augustine reminds us that history isn't just preserved in books, it's alive in the streets we walk today.